Hi, in this recording I will show you how to create a combination chart, or in short we say combo chart in Excel. We have a data that represent the months of the year, the rainy days, and also the profit. You see we have few things that we want to represent, and so it's since we have rainy days and profit that I want to present in a single chart, then this is a good candidate for a combo chart. So one way to create a combo chart is if you select your range, you can go to Insert, and let's say you're looking at these different charts and you're not sure which one would give you a combo chart, so you can ask Excel for recommendation. You can click on Recommended Charts, and you see here it's giving us suggestions. Some of it is meaningful, some of it might need some changes and edits to make it work. But let's go ahead and click on All Charts, and that will give me by category the different charts that we have. And the one I want to do is a combo chart. And so for combo chart, it's already detecting, rainy days and profit based on the selection. And so let's say I want my profit to be a line and my rainy days to be clustered column chart. Right now, I don't see it correct. All I see is a line for a profit. My rainy days, which are clustered columns, are flat at the point 0. And the reason why this is the case is because you really need two axes, one for rainy days and one for profit, so that we can see it correctly. So let's say you want the profit to be your secondary chart using the secondary axis, then we can check secondary axis for profit. And now what that does is that it adds the primary axis for rainy days, and now it makes sense. It looks correct. So this axis, this x-axis on the side, represent, y-axis on the side, represent the rainy days, and this axis on the right, so on the left representing the rainy days, and on the right that represent our profit. So this is our primary y-axis, this is secondary y-axis, and this is the x-axis or category axis. And so if you're happy with this, you can click OK. That adds your chart. Okay. You see how it's basically, it's an object that is floating around. I can move it from the chart area. If you want to align it nicely with the edges of the cells, what you can do is hold Alt on your keyboard as you drag the corner, and that makes it align nicely with the edges of the cells. Again, if you hold Alt as you drag the corners. So the chart title, I can triple click here and say this is the rainy days impact on profit. Okay, we can make it bold. If I click on the edge of the title, Control B is the shortcut to bold text. And what I will do, I will make some changes to my chart. First, I will add axis title to the ones on the sides here. And so to add anything or remove anything from the chart, you can click on the plus here, and that will allow you to add chart elements. So that will allow you to add chart elements. Let me move my window, make it slightly smaller here, or make my chart smaller so you can see better. Okay, this is good. So if I click on the plus here, if I want to add axis titles, I can click this. That will add my axis titles. And I don't need to know that these are the months of the year, so I can click on the axis title at the bottom and delete that. There's no need for it. And we can do axis title on the left here, and so that we will edit that to say this is our rainy days. And we can also do the same thing here for profit. Okay. And by the way, if you want the profit to be rotated down instead of up, you can go to the Home tab here and click on the AB for orientation and then rotate the text down. And so that will rotate the text down. Okay, to make it more like user-friendly, if you will, to make it easy for me to identify that this axis corresponds to these columns, I can make this axis blue. And so if I go to the font color, we will make the color blue to match the columns. And we can also make rainy days the same by clicking the font color. And for the profit, we will make this like dark orange font color. So this looks close enough. And we'll do the same thing for the label profit. Now, since I already have the axis titles here, there's no need for the legend. So I can click on the plus sign and deselect legend to remove it. Other things we can do is you can see here that the axes go from 0 to 14. These are my bounds. So this is the minimum bound. This is the maximum bound. Let's say I want to go from 0 to 12 instead. So what we can do is double click on this axis and say I want to go as bounds from 0 to 12, because really 12 is the max. I don't need the additional units here. And so we will go to 12. Just change the 14 to 12, hit enter, and you see how you can change your bounds. You can also change, we call these grid lines. So these lines, these are horizontal grid lines, major horizontal grid lines. We can also add vertical grid lines. So if you hover over grid lines, you can see because of the size of the window here, but if you go to add chart element at the top instead, then you can go to grid lines and say I want primary major vertical grid lines, and that will add these vertical grid lines. So you can also do it from the plus grid lines, but you can't see my pop-up window because it's outside the scope of the screen, but you can do the same thing by going here. Okay, let's say I want to highlight my top point. So the peak in my profits is 15,180. I want to highlight that. I want to make sure that I show that marker where people can easily read it. So if you double click on your line, you can see the markers on the line. And first, I want to make these markers white in color. So if you go to fill and line, you see line, we see marker as well. Click on marker, expand marker options, click automatic, and I will change these markers to white in color. And so I will expand fill. We will do solid fill for these markers and make sure that it's white in color so they can stand out easily. And so if I click on this topmost marker point, you see how the markers are white right now. And I want this to show my data label, which is the actual value. So if I exit out of this one, this is selected. We click on the plus data labels and click on data labels and expand the data labels options, and we will go ahead and click on data call out so that it looks like a data call out. And so again, you select the marker plus and then go to data labels and then data call out. And that's how you can add it. You can, of course, change that. If you double click on this, for example, let's say I don't want to show the month, I only want to show the value. We can deselect a category name, and that will show the value by itself. And I can move that, for example, here to the top, and you see how you can add basically a data call out showing the topmost value on your line.